Hello, everyone. On June the 2nd, there's going to be a triple conjunction in Aries. Mars is going to be exactly conjunct Eris, and the moon is crossing over them almost exactly there. And of course, Chiron is also nearby. And I gave the title of this particular conjunction and the video, Escalation of War or the Victory of Common Sense, because both would be there. Let's take a look at the London chart as we usually do. And again, you might, of course, change the place. So the exact time for the London chart is on June the 2nd at 22:18, so a little after 18 past 10 p.m. And here's the chart. And as you can see, Mars and Aries are at 25 degrees 17. The moon is only at 24 degrees. So it is exactly almost to the minute. I mean, it's like half a degree away, so crossing over this conjunction. And a couple of hours earlier, it was crossing over Chiron. And Chiron moon is always about karmic wounds and how karmic wounds around either the soul, the psyche, or the feminine, the mothering instinct, motherhood, maternity, the family. So that was highlighted first, and then the moon was highlighting this very disruptive and militant conjunction, Mars and Aries. Mars, of course, is the warlord, and Aries means drastically altered outward circumstances. So actually, a couple of days ago, when I saw that Mars will be conjunct Aries, I kind of hinted that this might be an escalation of war. I didn't realize at that point that the moon will be crossing over them. And the moon, which is the people, and yes, the people are completely fed up, at least here in Europe, with us being pushed into poverty, into hopelessness. They have taken away our freedom, our well-being, our security, and everything is just upside down. And this war is being pushed upon our lap. Now they are talking about how do you call that when you need to become how does it, what is it? Okay, I don't know the English word, pardon me for that, but when everyone needs to be a soldier, so all the young people at 18 are being drafted and put into facilities that they can have to stay for at least a year and a half, and they learn how to soldier. And the funny part is that in Europe now, some European leaders like the cretin Weber, he's a German leader of the People's Party. He said that yeah, it has to be an overall draft, and even women have to be made soldiers. Now, this is something that in the United States, which is always first and foremost with any crazy idea, they tried it. They had this co-educated mixed troops where feminine and masculine were put into one place. What happened? You may guess what happened. They were not interested in fighting. They were interested in each other, because men are interested in women and women are interested in men. So when you mix them, they become interested in each other and they don't care anything for anything else. So this is something that the United States already tried and dismissed. And now it looks that the European leaders never learned from any mistakes that the United States committed. They just want to keep on brilliant. What can I say? So this is the conjunction. Actually, Chiron is also very nearby. Chiron will reach Aries in a couple of weeks. We are going to look at that particular chart, of course, because that could be a wake-up call. This is what I think. And the first installment of the wake-up call could be this. I call this moment a bifurcation point. If you are familiar with chaos theory, according to chaos theory, when we have occurrences, all of a sudden there could be points in time when the events totally change, when you need to make a choice, and once you make the choice, the two potentials will cease to exist, and only one potential goes further as the future. And I think that this is such moment because the moon is crossing over the Mars Aries, very militant and very drastic conjunction. And Mars is also ruling the conjunction and, of course, ruling the moon. And the moon in Aries, we usually call the moon in Aries as a soul who wants to gain his or her own will. He doesn't care for anything else but what he wants. So it's a willful soul, a willful energy. But at the same time, it could mean that we, the people, are looking at the situation that is going to put in front of us and say, no way, no way, we are not going to fight. If you consider the situation, okay, we need to keep the borders of Ukraine intact, fine. But what about the other borders? What about the borders of the European countries? What about the borders of the United States? That can be open. Okay, Soros-backed organizations shout into our head, into our face, open borders. They demand open borders. What about the open borders of Ukraine? That's fine. Okay, another thing. Ukraine needs to fight for his own nation. I agree, of course. But what about the Israelis? Can they also fight for their own people? Or no, that's forbidden. So when you see that this is a whole ideological chaos, so to speak, and the people who are listening are not really listening. And maybe, just maybe, on June the 2nd in the evening, finally the people will realize that they are being led to war and that they are going to be slaughtered if they don't do something about it. Okay, the London chart has some highlights. First of all, Venus is reaching the sun. So there's a sun-Venus conjunction, indicating that money is also involved in this space-time moment. Jupiter and Sedna are still tight, and Mercury is anaretic at the very, very end of the Taurus, the last degree in Taurus, ready to move into its own sign, and then joining the conjunction, and then giving it some idea on some maybe peace talk, maybe some kind of discussion could be there. And Pluto is exactly squaring the midheaven and the IC, giving it a very dark flavor in a way, because Pluto is, of course, power and manipulation as well as transformation. So that's the space-time moment for London. And hold on one second. I'm fumbling again with technology. And here are the transcendental objects. On Ceres, we have Electra, the princess who is trying to get his little brother to kill their mother and actually succeeds. So this is something that I know what I want, but I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to trigger you to do it instead of me. That's what's happening. That's the proxy war. On Vesta, you have Sekhmet and the Heclus. Sekhmet is the lion goddess of the Egyptians, and it's the scorcher. So you know what happens in so much fire, of course. And Heclus is a centaur that describes the dilemmas of truth and reality. What is my truth? What do I consider as truth? When you have a fight, when you have a war, each participants have their own truths and they don't often see reality. So here you have the dilemmas of truth and reality, and we need to focus on these questions. On Pallas Athena, you have Tristan, a knight in shining armor, and two centaurs, two TNOs really, that if you saw my video on the whole year, which I posted sometime in December, right around Christmas for the whole year, for the year 2024, I told you that these two celestial bodies are moving together. And Typhoon is the destroying forces of nature. No, nature is not nice and not kind and not meek and something. Nature has this destroying. Nature is a destroyer. It destroys the weak. It destroys the incompetent. It destroys what is unnecessary. The superfluous is always being destroyed by nature. And Giovanna is the queen or the goddess of the Vedas. So she is linked to environmental protection, but not in the green way, which is destroying the whole thing. It is linked to creation protection. That's its most important role. So here you have two imposing forces. And Agena or Agena, I don't know how you pronounce it in English, but anyhow, it's Beta Centaur. The constellation Centaur is in the southern hemisphere. You won't be able to see it from London. And Agena is the beta star. So the whole constellation is about healing Chiron wounds. And it's prominent at the same time with Pallas Athena, which is wisdom. And that is why I think this is a very decisive moment, because Pallas Athena is opposite Uranus. So you have the dilemma of being wise or creating chaos. And both are there at your disposal. But with Agena or Agena, Beta Centaur, you have the ability to heal through pain and suffering, but still the healing energy is there. On Uranus, you have Phaethon, which is total destruction, and Lempo, which is a Finnish god that used to be a creator god for the Finns, but in Christian times he's turned into a demon. And this is a process that you see many, many times in history, that when there comes a new ideology or a new ruler, and simply wants to do away with the old stuff, they demonize this old stuff. And this is exactly what happens. And Capulus, which is the nebula in the constellation Perseus, which is actually Perseus' sword, the way they usually depict it when you see drawings of that constellation. And this is a masculine healing word, a masculine mystery school. So it's how we prepare to fight. And this is on Uranus. So this is on chaos. Okay, chaotic disruption pattern. A new ideology may emerge, which actually will demonize the old. But we need to fight for that. And on Moon Mars Aries, you have Hunia. Learn to fight from the Huns. The Huns never ever tried to actually conquer someone or something. They did not have wars to conquer. They had wars to protect their own territories, to protect their own people and treasures. And on Chiron, you have Hygeia, which is putting things in order, creating a sacred space. That is why I think that there is hope. And of course, the moon, a couple of hours earlier, was crossing over the Chiron-Hygeia conjunction. So it could be a decisive moment when we realize that this might actually turn into something else. I just listened to a Hungarian war specialist who said something very interesting, that this whole war rhetoric is not about this period. They want to keep this on. They want to drag on the war for at least a couple of years, in order that by then they will be able to produce weapons in a mass production scale. So we will have a lot of new weapons, new ammunition, and then they can actually turn the people, the young, into soldiers. So it's a 5-year process, and if you calculate it, we have the World Economic Forum has a plan that by 2030 you will own nothing and you will be happy. And I have a hunch that this is again building up this global reset. That's what they are trying to prepare. We will see. What is the saving grace of this space-time moment? There were a number of saving graces. For instance, the whole has this flavor of either or. So this is truly a bifurcation point. But if we add Astrea to the picture, we get a lot of, actually 4 minor aspects that are quite revealing. First of all, there's a tridecile between Astrea, the karma breaker, the destiny changer, with Pallas Athena, and 108 degrees. The tridecile is ingeniousness linked to altered states of consciousness. Wisdom sometimes requires altered states of consciousness, and if you focus on it, and if you're willing to do it, then you might really find ingeniousness. There's also Quindacile, 165 degrees between Ceres and Astrea. Quindacile means obsession and ambition. So you have here a potential to focus on karma breaking around nation, family, nurturing food, we need to really act. This is something that we need to do. And then there's also a biseptile from Australia to Mars Aries moon. And biseptile is a mysticism in a double way, because septile is mysticism, and this is like a manifested mysticism. So yes, we can break all embedded karma around war and aggression if we pay attention. And to Uranus, it's also a quintile, which is ingeniousness by itself. So those are our saving grace. And there's also this fixed square with Pluto, and also a partly dissociate and aneretic trapeze, classic trapeze. If you take a look at I didn't put here the degrees, but Neptune is at the very end of Pisces at 2940-ish. Mercury is at 29 degrees Taurus. So actually here you have a sextile, which is perfect in itself. But when you actually take a look at, I didn't put here the Jupiter and Sedna conjunction, but we could, but then the opposition would be perfect. But still the whole trapeze is partly dissociate and partly aneretic. What is a trapeze? What is a classic trapeze? That I want to step on the top and talk, give you my knowledge or my understanding or my information, because I know it will make a difference. So that's the top of the trapeze. What's the top? The Neptune Pluto sextile, which is actually in semi-sextile energies, because Pluto is already in Aquarius, and Pisces, and the Neptune is still in Pisces. So you have this semi-sextile flavor in within the sextile. And of course, Pluto is magic and transformation, and Neptune is clairvoyance and transcendence. So that's the top. That's what we need. That's what we needed to accomplish. And if you take a look, with Mercury, you have the understanding, opposite Lilith, which is the revolt against injustice. So that gives you the base of the situation. And well, if you take a look at the inner structure, the Neptune Lilith trine is really in square energies, Sagittarius and Pisces. So that's a trine, but in square energy, you have this mutable square energy at the same time. And so is Pluto and Mercury, because that trine also, the inner tension is also, it looks like a trine, but it actually, if you calculate it, it is a trine, but it has a square energy, Aquarius and Taurus. So getting on that soapbox and telling the people what to do is not going to be very easy. So, and here are the transcendental celestial objects. This is for the London chart. And on the midheaven, you have Hubris, Hiroshima, Gorgo, and Elatus. Not very nice. Hiroshima is complete destruction. Hubris means because you are so stuck up and so much you don't care what the natural order of things are there. Hubris means that you don't care at all. You are so stuck up and so sure about yourself that you simply don't understand what's going on. And this is on the midheaven. And Gorgo, of course, is the feminine, the raging feminine. And Elatus, this is our saving grace. Maybe it means that if we talk, if we educate ourselves, if we look at things in a rational, logical way, there may be a way out. On Pluto, you only have Altair, the alpha star of Aquila, the shaman star. On Neptune, you have Sheat still, Beta Pegasus, the healing bird of suicide victims, fresh suicide victims. And in the London chart, you have a number of stuff on the IC, quite nice things. And on the Jupiter, Sedna, Mercury triple conjunction, you have Spartacus, fight even if there is no potential to win, but fight against unbearable situations and conditions. Pythagoras, mathematician, philosopher, the founder of numerology. Archimedes, the someone who is realizing something all of a sudden, and also a mathematician and also a philosopher. Odin, the chief god of the Norse mythology. Pelion, the mountain of life that you need to understand and cover, and more Somnus, which is death and sleep. This particular TNO was very, very prominent during the pandemics. It's still there, lurking in the early degrees of Gemini. And on the IC of the London chart, you have Aesculapia, the caves where Asclepius was healing. Requiem, unfortunately, you know what it means. And two stars of Aries, Beta and Gamma Aries, Sheraton and Meshartim. Meshartim is a star that was called a new era setting star, and Sheraton is the fighting spirit when we fight. Beta stars are usually the dark side, or not, I don't like the dark side. Okay, the hidden or the shadow energy of the constellation that they are in. So it means that we need to fight. Simply that if we need to fight for our home, for our roots, for our nation, for our well-being, stability, and families. That is what's there. So it is a space-time moment that gives you a lot of potentials. It is a space-time moment that could be very, very militant and very violent even, but there are saving graces, and we never know what it is going to trigger. We never actually know what will happen. What will happen? What you want it to happen. Whatever you do, whatever you create with the energy at our disposal. And that is the important stuff. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.